What's good? What's goody? It's none other than your boy, Tyree Nassir. Today we're going to be talking about one of my absolute favorite things, Tyler the Creator. We're going to be dissecting and getting into his latest album, Igor. Now, a couple years ago, if you would have asked me about Tyler the Creator, I would have told you I don't listen to him. But now I'm absolutely borderline obsessed with him as an artist, and I absolutely love Igor. Igor is one of my favorite albums of all time, and it has no skips front to back. Let's get into the first track, which is Igor's theme. This is just the intro, and it kind of just gives you a preview into the album, kind of what things you might hear, instruments, phrases, things like that. You will hear Little Uzi for the vocals for this song. And you know, it kind of sets the tone for the album and foreshadowing the story. And he kind of repeats, Got My Eyes Open. Next track is Earthquake, and this is featuring Playboy Cardi and Charlie Wilson. This song is about finding somebody and being like overtaken by their presence in your relationship. Tyler kind of blames himself for these feelings, and he wants to stay with the person instead of just like letting them go. But at this point, he's already, you know, fallen for this person, and he's also noticing that they're not reciprocating the same energy. He says things like, "You don't want my conversation, I just need some confirmation on how you feel." Or, "You don't want no complication, I don't want no side formation." And it kind of just embodies how much this person shakes his world up. It kind of just takes him back, and it's just kind of him reflecting on how this person really, you know, impacts him already. After that, we have I Think, and the person's vocals in this song is Solange. And this song is about falling in love and it just being something undeniable. He can't hide from it, he can't run from it. And almost kind of like how he doesn't know how it got to this point, so like how it got to him being in love at this point. He doesn't know how to express his feelings, but he continues to talk about how this relationship like consumes him and his thoughts. He talks about the person not reciprocating the same energy again, but Tyler still loves them. He says things like, feelings, that's what I'm poeing. What the is your motive? And I wish you would call me by your name because I'm sorry. I mean, the chorus is just, I think I'm falling in love. This time I think it's for real. So he kind of just, again, is being overtaken by the feeling of this person and him being just undoubtedly in love with them. The next song is an interlude, and it just says, exactly what you run from, you end up chasing. Like you can't avoid it, just chasing it like you're trying, giving it everything you can. There's always an obstacle. Then that goes right into running out of time. And it's very repetitive. And there's a constant crescendo and decrescendo throughout the song. And he kind of realizes his partner isn't going to love him back the way he loves him. And this is kind of when we also hear about Tyler's partner like being in the closet. And he says, take your mask off, I need it out the picture, stop lying to yourself, I know the real you. He kind of just is realizing that he really does love this person, and he is, even though he knows the person isn't reciprocating the energy, he's still continuing to try to like make the person love him and make it work out basically. Then we go into New Magic Wand. Now New Magic Wand is a little bit more like old Tyler, and it's a little bit more, I guess, hectic, you could say. But New Magic Wand is also another way of saying like gun, or that's what he meant by New Magic Wand. So in this song is where the story kind of takes a turn, but we find out that Tyler is essentially the side piece in this relationship. The person he's in love with has a girlfriend already, and he's the side piece. And this song is kind of him being like angry, and not angry, but like kind of irritated and kind of just wanting things to work out. And he thinks that if he gets rid of the girl, then they'll be together. But in reality, he knows that that's not that simple. And it's weird because he's very self-aware because he knows like that's not gonna help. But I feel like the feelings and his emotions kind of overtake, which means he just kind of wants to do anything to get this person and be with this person. But he's sad and angry. And like I said, he thinks if the girl wasn't in the picture, they would be happily ever after for him. But, and he even goes as far in the song of saying, like, he will, the girl, just because he wants her away, he doesn't want to keep having to deal with this. And he says things like, this 60-40 isn't working. I need 100 of your time, you're mine. Like magic gone. She's gonna be dead. I just got a magic wand. We can finally be together. Then we get into A Boy is a Gun, which, if I do say so myself, is a beautifully executed song. And it kind of just furthers the story and kind of reiterates what we already know and what we've been hearing throughout the album thus far. But I think this is when he finds out how deep in he is with this person. And again, he's referencing a gun, and he's describing his partner as a gun just because he's describing how his feelings are and how his relationship is very dangerous but also delicate. My favorite line is, you're a gun 'cause I need you on my side. At all times, you keep me safe. And he also samples the Ponderosa Twins +1, which is the same sample from Kanye West, Bound 2, but he samples like the same song throughout this one. And then after that, we go into Puppet, which is one of my absolute favorite songs from this album. And Puppet is very deep, slower, and we really kind of see we see Tyler being vulnerable with his emotions, and kind of just how much he feels at this point in the relationship. Kanye West is also featured on this song, but essentially, Tyler feels like he isn't in control anymore, and he wants to do anything for this person. Tyler feels like he isn't in control anymore and wants to do anything and everything for this person. But not just that, he feels like whatever the person says or wants him to do, he's just gonna do it without question because he wants to, just keep the relationship. And this is just how deep he is into this. And all he wants to do is just be around them and hold them, and be around their company. And again, he's self-aware, so he knows it's toxic, but it's like his emotions and his mind are battling because he just can't stop, he can't stop the feeling and he can't stop trying to get them. But like he says things like, God, that's all I want other than air, oxygen, and financial freedom. I want your company. I need your company. I want you to want for me. He also says, like, I can't maneuver without you next to me. It's so complex to me. And then the chorus just is repeating, I'm your puppet, you control me. I'm your puppet, I don't know me. After that, we transition into What's Good, which is another really big transition in the album and in the story. But the vibe of the song also is very different. Again, it's reminiscent of old Tyler, but it's very cocky and upbeat, a little bit chaotic maybe. And this is also where I feel like we see the Igor character come out. But Tyler starts to kind of like come back into himself and realize that he doesn't need to deal with all of this. And he's tapping back into like reality. But he also is still going through the relationship. So he ends the song with, I don't know what's harder, letting go or just being okay with it. And then we go into another one of my favorites from the album, which is Gone, Gone, Thank You. And Tyler is finally seeing that things are not meant to be and he's trying to accept things for how they are. He reminisces on the relationship, but he knows he has to be himself and let the other person figure out themselves. And he repeats like, my love's gone. And he's glad to have loved and lost and to not have loved it all. And I think Tyler also comes out in this song. My favorite line is, I just hope to God she got good taste. Can put you on some you never seen. Can play a couple of songs that you can dance to. I hope she can't compete with me. Towards the end of Gone Gone, he talks about how in reality the relationship kind of moved fast and he thought that they were on the same page, but in reality they were on two different wavelengths. Like they were not what he thought they were as a couple. But he gets his lesson learned and he reflects on it, but it also hurts. So he kind of ends it with saying like, thank you for the love, thank you for the joy, but I don't want to ever fall in love again. Then we go to I Don't Love You Anymore, where Tyler has found his confidence and is no longer wrapped up in the middle of all of this, but he kind of doesn't know where to go from here. So he knows I don't love you anymore, that he can move on, but he can move on to what or how exactly is what he's battling at this point. Then the outro song, which I think fit perfectly for this album, kind of just talks about how he's moved on, but he kind of still wants closure of some sort. But also, he just doesn't want it to be weird, considering how much they've gone through and how much they've been through. He knows the situation, so he understands that he doesn't need to go back and he's not going to go back. But, you know, he doesn't want it to be any, like, hard feelings. And, you know, he wants them to still be okay. Now, also, the bonus track, I guess you could say, I know it's on the vinyl, but he didn't release it like an official deluxe album, but it's called Boyfriend with Charlie Wilson. And it's like where the running out of time interlude would be. But like early in the story, it was kind of him just wanting to be his partner's boyfriend. His intentions were unclear, but he was putting in effort to see if they can be more than friends. And he wanted to be more than friends with this person at that time. That concludes the track list, but I would just like to say that the album is just so good. And if you have not listened to it, please go listen to it. My band geeks put me on. They just kept playing it around me. And eventually I just fell in love with it. It's just crazy to me that a dark-skinned, you know, gay man could have an album like this really expressing his feelings and being so vulnerable with his audience. Especially for it to, you know, win a Grammy is just crazy. But thank you for letting me go on a little, you know, tangent. It's been none other than your boy, Tyree Nassir. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at MUTV23 and visit our website at mutv.missouri.edu.